Normally I cover 2 episodes of Blake 7 for these reviews, but, well, gonna do 3. Because it's the end of season 1 and there's 13 episodes, so you gotta end on an odd number. Yeah. So, let's see here. You have Bounty, Deliverance, and Orac. Well, don't know how that fits in. Bounty is not Mutiny on the Bounty, no. Blake has this mission to go get this exiled former president of one of the planets, and he was a bit against the Federation, but lost out in a vote of no confidence or some such. And Blake wants to go get him and encourage him to try to return and recoup power and be an ally against the Federation. But meanwhile, he's in exile with Federation security forces for his safety, of course. Well, actually, he's a prisoner. Living there with his daughter, and Blake manages to sneak in with Callie and ultimately convince him to leave with them and get on the Liberator. Meanwhile, Liberator answered a distress call, and oh, wouldn't you know it, it was a trap. Not by the Federation, but by the Barbary pirates. Well, you know, pirates nonetheless. And he's taken over the ship and intends to hand them over and the ship to the Federation for a substantial fee. But meanwhile, Jenna appears to have switched sides as she apparently knew this guy. And, well, we won't get into that. And so Blake returns. Now, the interesting thing about this, they could have made that a 2-parter if they'd had the time, where Blake has his story, because there's like 3 different stories going on here. And Blake could have had his story, and there was all this adventure about escaping with the president, and that could have been the full episode. And then he gets back to the ship, and the crew's mysteriously gone. And you're like, what the hell? And then you track him down and all that. But anyway, no, it was pirates instead of some alien menace or what have you. And eventually, yeah, they get the better of him. And of course, Jenna was playing along because it was the best outcome. She could stay free and able to help them out, and eventually she did. Blake never gave up on her because, they got a thing going on. It doesn't really come out to the surface, but yeah, they got a thing going on. So the others were not so sure, but anyway, it works out. So with Deliverance, the next episode, well, it doesn't end up like the movie, but it almost does. So here they discover a ship in trouble, and they go to help it, and the escape pods crash on this planet, but the planet's highly irradiated. So they need to hurry up and get down there and find if there's any survivors, and then get back to the ship. Well, of course, it's not going to go like that. So they go down, and one guy's dead, and they find the other guy's barely alive. And they split up in teams, which is always a mistake. And then Gan thinks he sees something and runs around, doesn't find anything. And then they all beam back up, and they forgot, oh, wait, Jenna's not with us. Of course, she got captured by the mutated cavemen. So she is almost in the position of Ned Beatty from Deliverance. No, that doesn't happen. Meanwhile, Blake's all upset, and he's really mad with Avon. He said, get back down there and find her, because that's Blake's girl. So they go back down, and they're having a hard time finding her. Meanwhile, the surviving guy blurts out stuff about Orac. Oh, and you must get this to my father. He'll die. Oh, and all this stuff. So he made some deal with the Federation in exchange for power cells for his father's heart machine. His father would give him the secrets of Orac. And so Blake's all intrigued, But then the guy gets the drop on him and tells him, you need to take off right now and get to the coordinates to where my father is and get him the power cells he needs to survive. And Blake's like, oh, my crew's on the planet. Hey, that's too bad. Well, you can deal with him later. So he gets Callie at gunpoint, even though he's horribly injured and could pass out. So Blake takes off, and the guys on the planet are on their own. Well, they get chased around by the mutant cavemen, and then they find what looks to be a bomb shelter, and that's because that's exactly what it is. You see, the planet's all irradiated because, they had their nuclear war, and now you got a bunch of mutant people running around, and one really hot-looking crazy woman living in the bomb shelter who's immediately in love with Avon. Well, in love is putting it mildly. She worships him because she believes a god would come, and Avon fits the bill, and they were supposed to help them in their final mission because she's too stupid to understand how to operate the computers that would launch a rocket they have on the pad that holds the genetic code of their species and will send it to another planet where they'll, reproduce and begin again, and probably end up nuking each other again. But anyway, so yeah, Avon really loves being a god. And it's like, at the end, it's like, well, shouldn't he have just taken her with him, Hey, wouldn't he like to have a pet? But eventually they find Jenna, they rescue her, and they manage to get back, because then the guy dies. He just collapses and dies, and so Blake's able to turn the ship around, head back. Meanwhile, there was 3 different stories going on in this one, where Travis is back. He was disgraced because he kept failing, and Blake would humiliate him. And so now he's desperate to get his command back, because it's the only way he can have the material necessary to get back at Blake. That's all he cares about. So now Servalon, turns out that deal she made with the guy trying to save his father for Orac, she, what was it, 200 million credits, whatever that is, but, think of it as $200 million, or pounds if you wish. It's a lot of dough. Well, she doesn't really have it, and she didn't exactly authorize the payment from the Federation, so she's got to keep this on the down low, because if they find out, she's in a lot of trouble. So the only one she could trust not to squeal anything would be Travis, because he's in desperate need to be reinstated. So she says, hey, I got your back if you keep your mouth shut and help me out with this. So the 2 of them, and only the 2 of them, take off to go deal with this. Turns out she put a bomb in that ship to destroy it, so the 2 guys that crashed, that was no accident, and she did that on purpose, because as they crashed, she could then go and secure Orac for herself without having to pay for it. So, but of course, Blake gets it first. Well, that's another story. And what do you know? The other story is the next episode, all about Orac. Turns out Orac is a super duper pooper scooper computer, even smarter than Zen, and the Federation wants it because it can also take over other computers without being hooked up to them or anything. It's just the bee's knees. So she wants to get it, and Blake is going to hand over the power cells to this guy in the hopes that he can get Orac, even though he doesn't know what it is, but he knows the Federation wants it, so now he wants it. So off they go. Meanwhile, the returning crew from last episode's adventure are suffering from radiation sickness. So he's got to hope that this guy with the heart ailment has the necessary, anti-radiation treatments or whatever, and he does, so don't worry about that. So Blake goes down. There's this whole rigmarole they got to go through to get to the guy, because he's got to be in this security where he is. And meanwhile, Travis and Servalon are going through the sewers being attacked by lizard people. And then by the time they get there, guess who has Orac? Now they kept it kind of dark, and you never really got a good look at the lizard people, probably because the costume wasn't that great. But nevertheless, it did get a laugh out of it. Blake just keeps getting the upper hand on that poor bastard. And there's a weak moment where Servalon is scared for her life and needs Travis to save her, and then she refuses to acknowledge it, But then there's this curious thing about the actor who plays Travis suddenly disappears, and so it's clearly some double doing scenes. You don't see his face, you just see his hands and his feet. You do hear his voice, but I don't know what that's about, but something went wrong there. He does show up at the end with the confrontation with Blake, which ends rather quickly, because by then Avon and the crew show up. Even though they're sickly, they decide, hey, Blake might need some help, and wouldn't you know it, he did. And so Avon blows Travis's hand off. This guy, he just can't catch a break. And so then they all get together and teleport back up to Liberator. And then they're all sitting around Orac like it's a crystal ball for a seance, which is interesting because that's kind of what the situation is. They interact with it and find out that Orac's a bit of a smartass because it was created by a smartass, but it's kind of owed to it because it's really super smart, but it can also predict the future. And then it predicts the future of Liberator, which it gets destroyed and blows up. And Blake's like, wait, what? And that's how it ends. So, is Orac accurate? Is it really going to blow? Yes, it is. Spoilers. We got a ways to go before we get there, but yes, that is the ultimate fate of Liberator. Yeah. How about that? What a ballsy show in a lot of ways. And, you know, it's limited by its times and what money they had and what the special effects were afforded it. But conceptually and plots, and sometimes, you know, seeing it now, of course, I've seen it before, so it's not as surprising, but there's not very many shows like it, you know. It does. I mean, it's a space show, they're in space and all that, but it does have its own unique style and character to it. So there we are, one season down, 3 more to go, and we'll get to that when I can. I'm surprised I was even able to get to it here under these conditions, thanks to Hurricane Laura, but little by little, doing it. Can't seem to put the Nailsin show on Radio Misfits. I can load YouTube videos on my phone, but I can't transmit MP3s. I've tried all the different services to do it with. Won't do it. So, till proper computer internet services back up, which could be a while, even when the lights come back on, which they still aren't, still on generator, still might not work till the service is full, because the internet service company, they got hit pretty bad here, and so it could be a while for them too. But anyway, as long as I can keep putting it out, I'll keep putting videos out for you.